We're going to call this meeting of the Plain Township Board of Trustees for Tuesday, May 13, 2014. Order. If everybody will stand for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, before us we have our agenda as presented. Are there any additions, deletions, or corrections by fellow board members or department heads?
I'm going to add 2 additions, Mr. Hawes.
Okay.
It's going to be fiscal officer number 8, which is going to be putting back Lyman Mechanical LLC, the visa retainage. And fiscal officer number 9, which is going to be for Hillshire Clark Electrical release of retainage.
Are there any other additions, deletions, or corrections by department heads or board members? Okay, the agenda will stand as amended. We'll start with our sheriff's report. Do we have anybody in the audience that wishes to address the sheriff's office? Any concerns or complaints? Okay, that'll close the sheriff's report. We'll take it to our third detective, Mr. Connick.
Good evening, everyone. I have the report for April of 2014. We had 836 calls for service. I believe it was about a 6% increase from March. Crash reports were down from 75 to 52 for April. Crash with injury reports stayed the same at 14. We responded to 107 alarms and had a 34% increase in traffic stops at 243 with 86 citations, 41 arrests, with 28 bookings and 13 summons. My activity report was 24 follow-up investigations with 16 closed cases.
Anybody got any questions for the detective?
The traffic and stuff's up, probably because the weather's getting nicer.
Yeah. Oh yeah, absolutely. And correct that. And I think it directly impacted the crashes. Being really low.
Do we have anything for this weekend? Saturday? Saturday?
Yes.
Follow with us?
I follow. Yes.
Okay. Perfect. It's going to close our detective's report. Thank you, Deputy. All right. Unfinished business. I'm going to turn this over to Mrs. Campbell.
Thank you. As we discussed at our last meeting when we talked about healthcare, I put together a packet for the board. I just need a little direction, and then I'll have it ready at the next meeting for resolution and adoption if the board so wishes. The first page in your packet is just an online training opportunity that I have signed up for in regards to a smoke-free workplace. Giving me some information about a smoke-free policy. We do have a smoke-free policy, but maybe this will be something a little better. And then online training for our employees, which is important. So I will be attending that. The second page is what I want the board to look at now. I've targeted the date of October 1st, 2014 for this year to have our wellness participation actually done. We're looking at 3 components to our wellness program that affects our premium this year. And one of them is the tobacco-free certification. This gives people, if it begins October 1st, time to do a program that I'll show you later in my presentation through AltCare to quit or to do something on their own if they so choose. So they've got time to implement a program if they so choose. Then this is a document that they fill out that they verify if they have used tobacco in the last 12 months, if they do not, or if they're also going to be doing a program. What I would like input on is, does the board want this at this time to be employee only or employee and spouse?
Should be both. Both are okay.
Okay. All right. And that's how I had done the paperwork. So then in order to get any of the discount, it'll have to be both employees. So then on the next paper, something that I think is very easy to do and really affects our program is choosing a primary care physician, and that'll be the employee and spouse. Believe it or not, there's many employees of ours who don't have a primary care physician and they use urgent care whenever they need to make an appointment. And that really impacts our plan because using urgent care is more expensive. So you'll see on that they'll mark off that they have chosen a primary care physician, and then secondly, that they have had a wellness visit. And this has to be to the fiscal office by September 15th. And there's proof of that wellness visit that has to accompany the form. And again, then it will be for employee and spouse. And then the final page shows you how this will impact premiums. If you are a single employee, if you do all of these things, you don't smoke, you pick a primary care physician, and you have a wellness visit, each one of these items has a value of 3 credits. Each credit is $1. So your annual discount will be $540. However, if you do not do these things, if you're an employee, your monthly contribution will increase from $30 to $75 a month. So it's quite an increase. If you're on the family plan, you pay $60, your contribution will go from $60 to $105. We're going to assume everybody's going to be at that increased level until they turn in those forms. Once it hits September 15th in October, if you haven't turned in those forms, then you're at that increased level for the year. Because there has to be a cutoff date, or else our fiscal office, and we included Stephanie and Luther in the conversations, every month can't take one employee and say, okay, we've got so-and-so forms, so now this one person, we have changed their premiums, or it would be kind of a nightmare for the fiscal office. I've already spoken with the fire department. Next, I'll be speaking with the road department union, because it is a change, and I want to give them ample notification that this will be coming. But they're at least the primary care physician choosing and having that wellness visit, and the township doesn't say what is in your wellness visit. It's whatever your doctor determines. It could be an EKG, it could be a blood test, it could be checking for cholesterol. It's whatever your primary care physician determines. It could be nothing at that time. And if you've already had one for this year, you just need notification from your doctor and you're done. So those are 2 very easy do's. What may be more difficult for people is people who use tobacco, and there is a Quit for Good program through AltCare that I believe, if this is something we're requiring of our employees, that it's a program the township should put on. And it's only $500 for the program for no matter how many people participate through AltCare. And it's an 8-session program, and it's something that I definitely think that we should have, that we're going to really look at people quitting tobacco and nicotine. So this is what I have to present to the board. Again, if you do 2 of the things and not the third, your premiums will come down that amount. So it's based on whatever you choose to do. And this will be something that I'll educate every single employee, department head, everybody on as we implement. Are there any questions from the board? Or anything you'd like to see different, changed?
What about talk to you about the possibility of the ultimate weight loss?
Yeah, one thing that's not on here and was presented to me very recently, and unfortunately Lisa Brown's mother passed away this past week, is that we do have things that are offered in our health care surgery-wise for weight management. And it was brought to my attention that one thing that may help our program And something we could really look at that would be a cost savings instead of the surgery is the Altman weight program. And it's something, if the board is interested in, we could have probably Lisa, when she can, come talk to the board about, because they do have their Altman weight program.
So proposing replace one with the other, or are we saying supplement it? Because quite frankly, I mean, to me, it's one or the
Probably
other,
one
because otherwise
instead
we're
of the-
compounding cost.
One instead of the other would probably be the way to go.
I'd like to see from them in that discussion what
I
type
have asked for
of
that already.
net impact it has
Yes.
as far as,
Yeah. I've asked for that already, but I didn't have that information for tonight.
Yeah, I mean, there's some
to
people
go
out
for
there
tonight.
that maybe want to, I mean, that are on the borderline diabetic, different issues like that, that weight loss could alleviate some additional prescription costs, health costs, doctor's visits, that in the long run could save us money.
Correct,
You know,
Yes.
that may not need bariatric surgery.
right. Or that may need bariatric surgery, but this would, if they did this instead of, because there
Save
are,
money.
it would save a considerable amount of money, but I don't have those answers for this evening due to that, so maybe I'll work with Lisa and have those answers. But as far as this information, do you feel like it's, we have the information to look at least to get any questions to me this next 2 weeks, and then I can put it into resolution format?
personally, where it stands, knowing what we've discussed before, I'm comfortable with it as it is, but I'll defer to depend upon what the other two want as well. I mean, we're essentially trying to drive, through positive reinforcement with some type of adverse enforcement if you choose not to.
Right. If you
Healthy
participate 100%,
lifestyle.
you're at your premium where you're at right now. If you do 2 out of the 3 things, it's just a $15 increase per month. If you do 1 out of 3 things, it's a $30 increase per month. 2 of the things are very, very easy. If you use nicotine, that's harder, but that's why I think we have the program with All Care to help. And there may be some other, that's why I'm taking the class too, there may be some other things that we can look at too.
Is there ultimately, I know I think through fire, with you guys, when the new guys got hired on, there's no commitment.
No tobacco whatsoever.
I mean, is that, yeah,
Mhm.
is that something, I think that should be done across the board, quite frankly, regardless of whether it's.
Yeah, and this could be the
If you want
first
the
step
health
to that. This
Yeah.
could be the first step to that. Because it does, and the tobacco, no tobacco is really something that we're seeing in many, many plans, both public and private. Because people who use tobacco cost plans more. So-
I mean, as far as all your clients, you still want more time?
No.
More time, or, so there's something we need to pass by a resolution?
Well, I didn't have a resolution tonight, I didn't know if I'd have it done, I worked on this late last night because of, what happened with Lisa Brown, so I put it together, but I'm sure we could do a verbal resolution.
Well, is there a need, can we pass it at the next meeting? You also talk to Lisa.
Absolutely, and I can start educating,
Not only that, but talk to
this
Lisa
week.
probably about some of these other things that we may.
Yeah,
not
this
do.
will implement, you can implement anyways, and I can start educating on and let them know at the next meeting, so.
Unless the wizard down there, Mr. Williams, could dictate a resolution of that.
It's not needed, he'll do it, but you don't need it right now, do you?
No, I'll start educating right
Let's
away.
just do it as one comprehensive,
Okay.
as soon as you got the information.
Very
we've
good.
seen it, and then have it back on for
All right.
formal resolution next.
Perfect. Well, that ends unfinished business.
Okay, that's gonna take us to new business, so I'm gonna keep that with you, Ms. Campbell.
Well, item number 1, I'm going to turn over to Mr. Haas.
Guys, I had asked previously to have this information on regarding the Ohio severance tax resolution. It has to do with what's going on down in the legislature about, drilling tax on these horizontals, and ultimately, for the House Committee, or was it the Ways and Means Committee, it's passed out of that, it's supposed to be coming before the House, but essentially there's going to be a tax that's currently proposed pending total passage on the horizontal drilling. Well, of that, there was a request to have a portion of those proceeds from the tax come back to local government. Now, based upon how it's currently being discussed in the legislature, there's discussion that a majority of that would be targeted back to the communities where the drilling activity is heaviest. So there's no guarantee that a large sum of money is going to be a windfall to Plain Township. But I had previously requested that we have a resolution to send down to the different representatives saying we support this given the fact of what we've taken as far as hits in funding. I think this is something that should be coming back in our local communities. And it was Terry Bell from down in the Jefferson County Township Association that had reached out via email, and we had chatted via phone this week. I was going to have the resolution up being, Lisa had advised me of what came out of the House and Ways Committee today, and it's going to be going before the House. The resolution really is going to be too late by the time it gets there. So I just wanted the record to reflect that I at least support this, and then if you guys have any additional comments, because I think if it's operations are going to be taxed.
Pass this, it's accidental.
It's gonna, and I gave a copy of what I found online today. It's already passed Ways and Means Committee, and it's at a different percentage level. I think it's 2.5% with 17% going back to local government. So it's already a done deal. So what you'd be asking for is something different. They're not going to amend it on the floor. So
I'm supportive of that, so we're
Yeah.
ready for it.
yeah, yeah. I'm sure
But we
the
can make up any of it. It's
43% plus reduction in LGF.
yeah, yes, yeah. And it just happened at the end of day today, and I saw it online, and yeah.
okay.
But I appreciate the hard work on it on behalf of the township, and always looking at ways. The board's always looking at ways to get that LGF money back, but I think this just happened at the 11th hour.
That's all I had on that, so I'll turn it back over to you for the remaining new business.
Thank you. Item number 2 is a notice that the Stark County Engineer's Office will be holding a public meeting here at Plain Township on May 21st in regards for the replacement of the Warner Church Bridge over the middle branch of the Nimishillen Creek with the realignment of the Warner Church Road at Apple Grove Street. So that's on May 21st. The meeting is an open house format, and anybody who wants to look at the plans now as they stand can go to www.engineer.co.stark.oh.us, and the project is located under the projects tab on the left-hand side. Joe, do you know the time of the
5 to
meeting?
7.
Oh yeah, 5 to
7.
7 o'clock, yes. So we have the hall reserved, we have the setup.
21st.
Okay.
Yeah, we have the setup for that, and Joe and I just spoke to Dave Torrance about that today, so we'll be ready for that meeting. All right, item number 3 is the Otarma insurance renewal, which I have to say that the fiscal office worked very hard on. And before you, and just to point out, every year we do get a CDL credit. This year it's in the amount of $725. But you have before you the resolution by the Plain Township Board of Trustees to accept the Otarma insurance renewal rates for Plain Township's property, casualty, and vehicle insurance package with a $3 million liability limit for the period of May 5th, 2014 through May 5th, 2015 in the amount of $80,371 with options of a 4 million liability limit, a 5 million liability limit, or a 6 million liability limit. And be it further resolved to authorize payment to Otarma Service Center, and it's distributed as you see below.
What's our current liability?
We've always stayed at 3 million. We've never moved above. No. We have, well, I'll let you make a motion and then we'll.
I'll make a motion to move on new business number 3,
Second.
discussion.
We have Dave Kraft look over all of our assets, our buildings, and he makes a recommendation, and he feels pretty comfortable at the 3 million limit, liability limit. So we've never moved from there, and the only thing we have done different this year is the way that we distribute the payment, because he really took a look at who owns what assets, buildings, equipment, vehicles, and that's just being redistributed a little more fairly this year. So.
Any further discussion? Roll call.
This would be to remain at the 3 million.
Yes.
Mr. Lino?
Yes.
Mr. Hawes?
Yes.
Mr. Geovasis?
Yes.
Okay, item number 4 is a resolution for the Plain Township Board of Trustees to pay St. Clair Pavlis for the installation of a door latch locking system at Alpine Park Restroom not to exceed $2,588 from Fund 01F02.
So move.
Second.
Discussion.
It's on the agenda because when he saw the doors, and correct me if I'm wrong, Rob, he realized there were some additional pieces that he needed to do this project.
Correct. Essentially, he did not realize initially that the doors did not have a latch to create the electronic lock, so he had to replace the doors themselves. But since he said that upon initial inspection he didn't see it, he'd only charge us for the parts of the doors themselves.
Not the
These
labor.
are operating on that.
Yes, correct.
Yeah, so being that cost, it had to go on the agenda. I know we had informed you about it when it was below the cost to be, when it was below $2,000, but now that it's above, it had to come before the board in this fashion.
Any further discussion? Roll call.
Mr. Lino?
Yes.
Mr. Geovasis?
Yes.
Mr. Hawes?
Yes.
And item number 5, I'll turn over to Mr. Iacine.
We were approached yesterday by Jim Cheney of the Hall of Fame Marathon Group. They're asking for permission to have a 5K marathon on Father's Day in the Hall of Fame area, mainly in Plain Township. It'll be a Sunday morning, and I do believe from 7 to 8:15 is the total time limit that he put on the race. We asked him to change the race, the Sheriff's Department and Donnie and I, because he had us going down Fulton Road a little bit of Lakeside and a little bit of Broad, so we asked him to rearrange that.
Pretty super busy.
Right, so we didn't have to close all those down. We told him that we'd have to get permission from the board to let the race happen, because the last race went pretty well, from what I understand, other than the lack of volunteers, once again, that they didn't get. He's trying to fix that. And then next year, from now on, they're going to have a race all across the country, a 5K race. And the 2 winners from cities all over the country will race the Saturday before the Hall of Fame Marathon in Canton. So this course that they set up will be the course they will use from here on out for the 5K. He's supposed to get back to us today. I don't know if he did. We'll get a new copy of the map so the board can look at it. But we're trying to make it as simple as we can with shutting down a few roads. We tried to get them off of Lakeside and off of Fulton. So we had to shut Broad down anyhow because the race cuts across there. So let's shut just one street down for the Iron 50 things. If the board gives approval.
The rest of you aware of what, they'd be responsible for costs.
Yes.
Yes, once again, he'll pay in advance, they have the money. This was David Beck's
Yeah, prior raise.
race that they ran for Father's Day on Snyder.
Yeah.
The Hall of Fame wants it moved over to that area, so that's why they're moving it over there. So that's,
Get us a revised
okay.
plan, and, you know, we'll just make sure, you know,
It's a lot
you guys-
shorter timeline, so I think it should be okay.
I expect still to say finalize map, knowing exactly what we need for staffing, this cost or covered, and then.
We'll get that to you this week, hopefully.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thanks, Joe. Closes out new business. It's going to take us to the fiscal officer's report. Mr. Flax.
Thank you, Mr. President. Item number 1 is a request for a resolution by the Plain Township Board of Trustees, Stark County, Ohio, to authorize the payment of the pending warrants. I'm going to change the amount because we're going to add that Wilshire Clerk retainage, so change the amount to $191,759.48. It's attached here too and made part of the minutes.
Also moved.
Second.
Discussion. Roll call.
Mr. Haas?
Yes.
Mr. Geovasis?
Yes.
Mr. Leo?
Yes.
Fiscal Officer number 2 is a request for a resolution by the Plain Township Board of Trustees, Stark County, Ohio, authorizing payroll in an amount not to exceed $220,000.
Moved.
Second.
Discussion. Roll call.
Mr. Haas?
Yes.
Mr. Geovasis?
Yes.
And Mr. Lino?
Yes.
Fiscal Officer number 3 is a request for a resolution by the Plain Township Board of Trustees, Stark County, Ohio, to authorize the payment for the following medical claims as provided by All Care.
Mr. Geovasis moved. I'll second. Discussion. Roll call.
Mr. Haas?
Yes.
Mr. Geovasis?
Yes.
And Mr. Lino?
Yes.
Fiscal Officer number 4 is the financial report. Fiscal Officer number 5 is a request for the resolution by the Plain Township Board of Trustees, Stark County, Ohio, to authorize a refund as follows for overpayments of emergency medical services as requested by Ohio Billing.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion. Roll call.
Mr. Haas?
Yes.
Mr. Lino?
Yes.
Mr. Geovasis?
Yes.
Fiscal Officer number 6 is going to be a request for a resolution by the Plain Township Board of Trustees, Stark County, Ohio, to release the funds being retained for St. Clair Pavlos in regard to the restroom project over there on Schneider.
Second. Discussion. Rob, this was what was probably just a week or so ago. You and I was over there, right? Okay.
Yes, sir.
Roll call.
Mr. Geovasis?
Yes.
Mr. Haas?
Yes.
Mr. Lino?
Yes.
Fiscal Officer number 7 is a request for a resolution by the Plain Township Board of Trustees, Stark County, Ohio, to authorize the following transfers.
So moved.
I'll second it.
Discussion. Roll call.
Mr. Haas?
Yes.
Mr. Lino?
Yes.
Mr. Geovasis?
Yes.
Fiscal Officer number 8 is going to be a request for a resolution by the Plain Township Board of Trustees, Stark County, Ohio, to authorize the release of the retainage to Feynman Mechanical LLC that was held as part of the restroom project.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion. Roll call.
Mr. Geovasis?
Yes.
Mr. Haas?
Yes.
And Mr. Lino?
Yes.
Finally, Fiscal Officer number 9 is a request for a resolution by the Plain Township Board of Trustees, Stark County, Ohio, to allow the release of the escrow to Wilshire Clark Electrical for the restroom project over at Schneider.
So moved.
I'll second it.
Discussion. Roll call.
Mr. Geovasis?
Yes.
Mr. Haas?
Yes.
Mr. Lino?
Yes.
That'll conclude fiscal officer's report for tonight.
Thank you, Mr. Flex. It's going to take us to our administrator comments from the Mrs. Campbell.
Thank you. Item number 1 is a resolution to pay the United States Postal Service for postage for the summer 2014 newsletter, not to exceed $3,000.
So move, Mr. Devine?
Second, discussion, roll call.
Mr. Lino?
Yes.
Mr. Geovasis?
Yes.
Mr. Hawes?
Yes.
Item number 2 is a resolution to pay Pinnacle Press for the printing of the 2014 summer newsletter, not to exceed $3,000.
So moved.
Second?
Discussion. Nice change on the format.
Yes, if you'll please look at that second page, not the content of the, of it, but we've been working maybe with a little bit of a newer, updated format with the top portion and then the pictures on the left. Maybe to update it. If you like it, let us know.
Are you saying this is the second page, the resolution is the first page?
Resolution's the first page. If you like it, fine. If you don't, let us know. If you want some changes, let us know. If you'd like to go back to the old one, let us know. We're open to anything. If you want to do a new picture, let us know.
As far as,
I want a new picture.
Finally got ready your senior picture.
wow.
It's a rough crowd.
Yeah, obviously alternating that cover, whatever's best personally, because I know some months, or some quarters trying to figure out what should go as a letter from the Board of Trustees,
Yeah.
sometimes almost,
Well, and we thought for the front page too, for the summer, we were going to do it about the parks because we have some neat special events that we have, but just wanting to make sure you like the new top and the new side with the different colors, and it looks nice in color, but let us know what you think. It's a little more contemporary. That other format had been used, I think, since the beginning of the newsletter.
I'm fine with it.
Okay. Very good. All right, the next item, oh,
Yeah,
sorry.
we're sorry about that. Roll call.
Mr. Lino?
Yes.
Mr. Geovasis?
Yes.
Mr. Hawes?
Yes.
Item number 3 is a resolution to authorize payment to Worsler Brothers Landscaping for March composting in an amount not to exceed $3,450.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion. Roll call.
Mr. Lino?
Yes.
Mr. Geovasis?
Yes.
Mr. Hawes?
Yes.
And item number 4 is a resolution by the Plain Township Board of Trustees to authorize the purchase of a Ford Explorer Interceptor from Wacom Auto Family in an amount not to exceed $28,654.80.
I will so move.
Second.
Discussion, just for discussion purposes, I know that there's been some communication back and forth with the sheriff's office. This will be the last one that's needed for a while, is that correct, based upon the maintenance
Yes, well,
records?
and in this particular case, a transmission blew in a vehicle that had very high mileage. You'll look at the end.
155,000 miles, I think.
Yes, you'll look at the report that I received from Bob Corrigan, and let me find it. It had 152,075 miles, and it certainly wasn't worth making the investment of a transmission. So, yes, it did. And the price we're receiving this time from Wacom is actually a little less, about $150 less, just based on the new pricing. And then you'll see the vehicle conditions, the fair to good conditions, but what I do recommend to the board is that we go as a group and take a look at the fleet. Because some of these say fair condition, I think the board needs to take a look at what the inside of the vehicle looks like, what the outside of the vehicles look like. They may be in good condition mechanically,
I referenced our run and loop a couple months ago over at the high school where one of the cruisers was up top and there was a bungee strap or a zip tie.
Yeah, that's unacceptable.
That's not acceptable.
And that could be one of them
Yeah,
that's in
seriously.
fair condition mechanically, but if
So,
it's falling
outside of
apart on
seeing
the
this on a
outside,
piece of paper, I personally,
I think it's time to inspect the fleet.
That's a good idea.
Well, looking at this list, the fares, I think what we need to do with these 2003s and the remaining two 2005s that are getting up into the 130, 150,000 mile price range, is not just physically looking at the overall maintenance records of the car,
Yes.
because that's going to tell more of a story than
Correct.
physically looking at it.
Yes,
We need to come up with a replacement
Correct.
plan over time, because whether it's 3 years or whether it's 2 years, 3 years, or 4 years. But I suspect these 150,000 milers, because there's more than one of them down there, and you guys
Yeah.
probably can correct me if I'm wrong, that have white zip ties holding the bumpers on.
Yeah.
So we've got, just about everything out of those cars that we're gonna get.
yes, yes. But instead of putting several thousand into a transmission of a vehicle that's under 52,000,
now, based upon getting the new Interceptor vehicle to replace this, is there a way that existing cruiser can be stripped down and we can get that cruiser into the auction in time? Or is that something that's not gonna have enough lead time and we'd have to take a look at gut deals, or is it gonna be at the point where it's gotta go to the good old graveyard and be compacted?
it may
The
go,
last two we replaced, we had to take for salvage.
yeah, this probably will
So
go
we
to
stripped
salvage
them.
also. Yeah, we'll strip them,
Okay.
And
But-
I don't know about the body and all that on this one, but it's probably not gonna be much.
yeah,
better.
it'll probably be
Strip-
salvaged.
You have to remember that not all these cars are on the road all the time. There's 4 or 5 of them that are just spares sitting around.
But what we
But
want
they're
to
spares
do,
because we don't want them on the road. That's what I'm assuming here.
Yeah.
Let's just call it what it is.
well, the other thing too is the next two going into next year that we're looking at maybe replacing or whatever the number might be. We might want to look at the overall conditions of those cars and see what parts are good on those
Yes.
cars that might be able to put on the other cars and
Correct.
get them to last another year.
Yes, I think those are the
If there's
discussions
a
we have to
transmission
have.
that's decent, let's put it on the car with a bad
Yes.
transmission.
Those are the discussions we have to have when we go out
Yeah,
there.
we still have the lights and all that stuff.
Yeah, from the previous ones.
The old cars.
Mhm.
Which at a certain point, I mean, we gotta also take a look at what's the value gonna be in keeping those, given the Chargers and the Interceptors, are they gonna fit
Right.
this new equipment? If not, I say, can we still strip it, then sell it through gut
We could
deals?
do
whatever,
gut deals
get-
for that.
get something still of value,
Yeah.
because guaranteed there's other communities where
Yeah.
that's probably
Yeah, that's
still
something
gonna be
we can do,
used.
gut deals.
Yes.
Mhm.
Okay. Well, as far as, is it Bob that we'll need to meet with out there at the
Yes, I can
sheriff's
set
office?
that up. If you all can send me some dates that work, then I can set that up.
Okay.
Probably get them outside, too, because they're out in their garage, and that's the seeing daylight.
And I just received notice today that the 2 that we've already ordered previously will not be until
June.
early to mid-June from the plant, so. We thought it was gonna be by the end of May, but it's not gonna happen.
And we got a couple of the other Explorers already out there.
No.
No, these will be the first
These
two.
are
The first 2 we ordered a month ago or 6 weeks ago. Yeah, that we were, they have 10 or 11 of their own that
Still plan.
This package.
Yeah.
Nice.
Okay.
I didn't know.
But we gotta seriously look at this replacement thing. 'Cause
Yeah.
Is there any further discussion on the Interceptor? Just need a roll call. Roll call, please.
Mr. Lino?
Yes.
Mr. Haas?
Yes.
Mr. Geovasis?
Yes.
And that's the end of the administrator report.
Thank you, Ms. Keener. We'll take us to the fire department and then turn it over to Chief Side, so hopefully he's able to eke it out here for
I think I'll still be first here. Can you talk? Can you let us do this for you? No, Joe, I don't want you to talk. We can help you out, Chief. I appreciate it. Item number 1 is the monthly report.
ask lots of questions.
I use sign language, I can do it, I guess.
Sounds pretty much.
Stand with all online.
Okay.
Good.
Okay, item number 2 is a resolution to authorize approval of payment of to Physio Medtronic for our 5-year maintenance contract, the amount of $8,407.80.
Also moved on fire number 2.
Second.
Discussion, roll call.
Mr. Geovasis?
Yes.
Mr. Haas?
Yes.
Mr. Lino?
Yes. And that contract will just be adjusted because of us purchasing a couple new monitors. So the old ones were off, these are new ones were on warranty for 2 years, so that contract was adjusted the first year. Okay. Item number 3 is to authorize reimbursement payment to Adam Reardon in the amount of $400 for his healthcare membership and provision of bargaining.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion, roll call.
Was that Mr. Lino?
Yes.
Yes.
Mr. Geovasis?
Yes.
Mr. Haas?
Yes.
Mr. Lino?
Yes. Item number 4 is to sell property, private sale for the board to determine that the property is no longer needed, and the value of the property is less than $25, we'll be scrapping it, which is scrap metal. And most of that is of a vehicle, an EMS vehicle we had back in '05 that we replaced, that we tore the box off, and actually the road department got the chassis used it as a freight truck. So we tore the chassis or the box off and used some of the scrap metal from that for a different project, but we had piled up land over there and trying to clean it up, so we just want to get rid of that.
Also moved on fire 4. Discussion, roll call.
Mr. Geovasis?
Yes.
Mr. Haas?
Yes.
Mr. Lino?
Yes. And just the last item I have is just an FYI, that we had put on gov deals, 2 of our striker cots that were replaced by the BWC grant that we received, we purchased the new ones. So we had those on gov deal, we did sell those for $2,000, over $2,000.
How are the new power cots working? I mean, is there much for the guys to get used to?
Training, they come into the training on them on each shift, and they work really well. Guys are real happy with it.
Thank you, Chief.
Thank you.
That will close out fire. Road Department, and turn it over to Mr. Iacino unless Chief Snyder wants to talk on his behalf.
Item number 1 is the monthly report for April. Pretty busy month. Well, actually.
Say good job of keeping that topic, because I know just outright and about folks who've noted, even though it's like an endless battle, that we've done a good job of keeping on top of it, so.
Okay. Item number 2 is a resolution to accept Chris Barra's resignation effective May 9th, 2014.
Also moved.
Second. Second, Mr. Lino.
Discussion, roll call.
Mr. Lino?
Yes.
Mr. Haas?
Yes.
Mr. Geovasis?
Yes.
Item number 3 is a resolution to authorize the posting of temporary no parking signs on the north side of Diamond Street from Middle Branch to Diamond, Middle Branch from Diamond to Prospect on the west side of the road. Be posted on May 30th and taken down on June 2nd. This is for the cross tournament, I believe.
Also move on road number 3.
Second.
Discussion, roll call.
Mr. Haas?
Yes.
Mr. Lino?
Yes.
Mr. Geovasis?
Yes.
Item number 4 is also a resolution to post temporary no parking in the Diamond Park allotment for those same dates for that same tournament.
Also move on road number 4.
Second.
Discussion, roll call.
Mr. Haas?
Yes.
Mr. Lino?
Yes.
Mr. Geovasis?
Yes.
Item number 5 is a resolution to post temporary no parking on the north side of Diamond in October for the Bothwell Cup, and so we figured we better do it before we forget. And those dates are October 16th and 20th.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion, roll call.
Mr. Haas?
Yes.
Mr. Lino?
Yes.
Mr. Geovasis?
Yes.
Item number 6 is also to authorize the post temporary no parking and diamond parker allotment on the listed streets for the Bothwell Cup on October 16th to be taken down on October 20th.
So moved.
Second?
Discussion. Roll call.
Mr. Haas?
Yes.
Mr. Lino?
Yes.
Mr. Geovasis?
Yes.
And item number 7 is a resolution to authorize the payment to Waste Management Ohio American Landfill for non-hazardous material not to exceed $6,082.30.
Also move. Discussion. Joe, is this pretty much like street sweepings and all that stuff that?
Vector and street sweepings, we are mandated by the EPA to take the landfills now.
All right. Roll call.
Mr. Lino?
Yes.
Mr. Geovasis?
Yes.
Mr. Haas?
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you, Joe. That's going to take us to our zoning department. I'm going to turn it over to Mr. Fall.
Thank you, Mr. Howell. Item number 1 is the monthly report for April.
Pretty well built out at this point.
Winter Creek is coming very close. There are not very many lots left over there. I would
So they're all
Yes,
on that. As soon as
perhaps.
you pull right in, because they're in the back.
Knoll Ridge. There are a couple going around the corner, most of them are on Knoll Ridge, and I would estimate perhaps 8. Lexington Farms is filling up rapidly. Most of the empty lots remaining there are on Pine Bluff and Crossing. And Saratoga Hills, most of the lots there are in the Cloverhurst area. And those have been moving rapidly.
And I think we discussed this a little earlier this week in Lexington Farms, there's a section that's still not platted there.
Correct.
So really, once that gets filled out, until the plan's submitted to have that platted and so forth.
That's the backside where we,
That's the north of Stone Crossing.
yeah, that's the ones that we said that
That 15
from
and 12
the
fell.
larger lots backside. Because those are the ones that what,
Correct.
Wellington.
Right, the original preliminary plat was prior to the zone change where R1 was 10,000 and now the lot must be 15 unless someone were to go for a zone change intermediary or stepping up or whatever. But, yeah, our current subdivisions are filling out. Canterbury Creek off 55th had quite a few sales of lots last year. And once again, there's less than a dozen lots left in there. So we need some, I mean, talking with the various owners and developers to see what their plans are to get some of these other sections moving. They're looking at it. They see things are going, so hopefully we'll get some movement on that aspect.
And of course, Sedgewood's not going to be too far.
But the potential for construction starting there,
Fall, I think.
possibly yet this year, the spring lots. So we're moving well. We're right on tap.
I mean, the summer,
Beg pardon, sir?
for this edge lot, there's much of summer.
Possibly late.
Late summer, early
It's-
fall.
They still have to get all their plans and everything. It'll be a push to get it in. It's possible they could start some infrastructure work over the winter, sewer lines, that type of thing. You wouldn't see much road work being done then. They can do sewer and infrastructure things during the winter months. But again, it's good. We're pretty much right on track. I think we're one application down for new residences for this time last year. But a lot of that has to do with the winter, obviously. People just weren't looking. Okay, zoning number 2, we have before us 6 applications for the side lot program. These are all parcels that were part of the Moving Ohio Forward demolition project. One of the lots would be for the first T on 26th Street. Another lot would be for the Kansas Service Center on 30th. And 4 of the lots would be for adjacent neighbors.
So on, let's see, 2A, 26th Street, that's the one that,
That's for a neighbor.
okay, now is that the one over, that's not the first T
No,
property, right?
the 2C would be for the first T.
Okay.
And 2B would be for the Canton Service Center on 30th.
Let me just question, since that's adjacent to there, I'm thinking if they're interested in acquiring that property. We paid to bring the house down, the city's gonna take it.
The sidewalk program. They're not gonna, I don't believe they're looking at annexing, but
They're gonna get $100 and get it.
they're also looking at taking the property, there's one other parcel that sits there with the home lot, they're looking at taking that one also. Possible purchase on that, they're getting a deal from us. I mean, you don't necessarily have to approve the resolution for that.
A couple of them there identified.
I'm gonna go through one. I'm gonna make a motion to move on 2A.
And again, that is for a neighbor who wants to extend the yard area.
A second.
Discussion? Roll call.
Mr. Lina?
Yes.
Mr. Gevasis?
Yes.
Mr. Haas?
Yes.
Okay, 2B is a 24, 26, 30th Street Northeast, and the applicant is the city of Canton.
I'll make a motion on 2B.
Second.
Discussion. I mean, I realize we go into this level, but I mean, our residents subsidizing the cost of this, and then getting transferred over to another governmental, I gotta tell you, that's a hard pill to swallow. I mean, the thing is through the land bank, I know there's a number of applications that can come in. Should we consider holding this and tabling it to have the board, the SCLRC, through Lem and Alex, say, hey, are there any other inquiries about this?
There is one other potential owner for
Just because of the location of it?
Correct. It's got the service center on the south and on the west of it. City of Canton owns property on the south and on the west.
They own on the south and the west, and
So
they're already got to recoup this sort of cost of tearing it down. No, they have to do it if they're on the property next to them.
What is it a benefit though for us to acquire that for the $100 ourselves and then turn around?
we are an adjacent owner.
It has to be an adjacent owner.
Yeah.
That's all right.
Yeah, that's the whole program is
Well, yeah,
designed
but
so
I'm
that,
thinking the vacant lot.
yeah, the whole program is designed so that the people next to it.
Yeah,
It just so
so
happens in some of these cases, the people next to it is the city. So that's really what you're moving through.
We were next to it, we could.
If we were next to it, we'd do it.
Yeah, if it was next up.
No
we could
question
acquire
about
it.
it. It's a great
But
deal.
I think there's something that may be finalized on the vacant lot. Can we table it?
There's a vacant lot program that's coming up that would allow,
You don't
it's like
have.
someone across the street
But we
to
have.
get it. They're finalizing the vacant lot program right now. I guess the question is, you can table this one and then we can wait for the vacant lot program to get finalized. There were issues with transfers that we had a lot of issues with, and they're in the process of finalizing that right now.
So we'll take table 2B. Goes to 2C.
2C is at 2350 26th Street. This is for the first T golf track.
Now, why is it labeled, it shows the city?
Well, the city
of
of Canton actually owns the property there that's adjacent to it.
First.
See,
So who's trying to acquire the property? The First Tees trying to acquire the property?
I was gonna say from the very beginning, my understanding has been First Tees tried to acquire it, right? First
Yeah.
Tee is a non-profit,
They are a
that
nonprofit.
had the property is what.
Well, there's multiple properties around it, but most of all owned by the city, properties owned by the city.
So the entire First Tee, or is it just stock parcels?
You can table it, I can do some more research on it if you wish.
Yeah.
We don't need that, it's not even on the table yet. No motion.
Okay. Two D,
Okay, 2D is at 2525 31st Northeast, and again, this would be for a neighbor yard extension.
so move on two D. Discussion. Roll call.
Mr. Leo?
Yes.
Mr. Geovasis?
Yes.
Mr. Haas?
Yes.
2E is at 2702 31st Street. Once again, this would be for a neighbor's yard extension.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion. Roll call.
Mr. Leo?
Yes.
Mr. Geovasis?
Yes.
Mr. Haas?
Yes.
Okay, 2F is at 1632nd Northeast. Once again, this would be for a neighbor.
Also move.
Second.
Discussion. Roll call.
Mr. Leo?
Yes.
Mr. Geovasis?
Yes.
Mr. Haas?
Yes.
Okay, and I would like to say that I have pretty strong interest on another 5 of the parcels. We'll look at that.
Let's ferret those out as far
Well,
as
between
doing some background check with you
he
guys.
and I, yeah.
Okay.
And we're working on a couple answers there.
So if that's the case, quite frankly, we're getting quite a few of these flipped relatively
Yes.
quick back into hand, so we're not gonna be worried about maintaining through nuisance.
Right. And, we're working on a couple of the others. One of the problems, or potential issue was because many of these parcels are very small, when, they're probably, they're 50 feet wide. When someone takes them, if someone wants to do an accessory building, a shed or a garage, they have to be combined with the existing lot.
Yeah, for the proper
For
setback.
proper setbacks, and just for the fact that you cannot just have an accessory structure on a property, you must have a principal structure. So we're also making certain that as these get combined, everything gets combined the right way. So there wouldn't be an issue if all of a sudden someone would sell a lot that has a garage on it. So that's just one of those little offshoots of the problem, that there's, or the issue that is coming forward. Got to take a peek at all that little stuff. Okay, zoning number 3 would like to discuss replacement vehicle for the zoning department. What we'd like to try to do would be to look at something in a 4-door capacity, whether it's an Escape, Equinox, Traverse, Explorer, something along those lines. The current vehicle, the 2000 primary vehicle, is 2008 pickup truck that we'd like to move to the road department because the Durango is going into the auction and it was in pretty dire shape. And the issue, the reason we'd like to go to a 4-door would be for the ability, we do have occasionally want to take people around the township. We've had a couple different people come in. If you recall, a while back, one example was Mr. Walford. Wanted to take him around. He has daughters with him, so it's pretty difficult to load them in pickup truck. It would look like everyone's buildings, chairs and stuff. So, we've used personal vehicles and taken other folks around. And also, with your permission, I'd like to investigate various vehicles. And I believe Mr. Lino at one time asked about the concept of possibility of leasing, whether or not some sort of a lease would be an appropriate thing, because we're a low mileage department. And, the funding, we have funding available in our account 13804. And basically, to be honest, most of that money has come from the skill games. We do have funding available. It's the type of thing that if a group of people needed to go somewhere, also, say 3 or 4 of the department heads wanted to go to an OTA seminar or something, we could easily take a vehicle such as that,
Instead
to
of.
go down, instead of a personal vehicle.
Instead of paying mileage.
Right, that'd save a lot of, take that down and cost, tank of gas instead of mileage.
Well, this is my thinking on this. I just want to make sure before and when we decide to do something like this. You know, we have the, what is that, Joe, out there, GMC or Chevy?
There's a GMC out there.
GMC.
Mhm.
We bought the Colorado because they needed four-wheel drive. Prior to that GMC, we had a Dodge Spirit. We had for 10 years.
It was a car.
Yeah, 10 years. I think the car had 30,000 miles on it when we got rid of it, because they needed a truck. And then they got the truck, and then they needed the four-wheel drive. Just want to make sure the vehicle we get, number one, is not overly expensive for the amount of time it's going to be used, number one. And number two, it's going to be a vehicle that is going to be able to be utilized for the next 10, 15 years, because it doesn't get very many miles per hour. Because this is now going to be the fourth zoning vehicle since I've been here 20 years. I don't think we put a combined 50,000 miles on all of them. And so, you know, in your thought process on this, let's make sure that, let's keep in mind that it's not go out and buy cars for the sake of buying cars.
I mean, Denny, even as part of those, if you can just say, hey, X times a month, you know, we're dealing with this, is X miles, because if, you know, obviously we can reimburse on mileage, but at a certain point it doesn't make sense to continue reimbursing an employee for mileage on their own personal vehicles versus having it in-house. If there's any way to go back and estimate that, because then you can back that out as avoided cost, or essentially rerouted.
Well, I know, I mean, I'm not saying I'm against it.
Oh, no, I'm just asking for
I don't think
a
there's a need to
justification.
go to a $30,000 car.
Oh, no, I'm not disagreeing with you, I just, from that whole total
Actually, I was
cost.
thinking, Mr. Gervais, I think more like something like an Escalade with more like in the 50s. Yeah.
In that case, the parks needs a vehicle.
No, it'd be something that would be, again, you could be, you know, multiple utilizations, something like this.
Well, we don't have it yet.
No, we're gonna give the Colorado.
Right.
Then we got this, we got this white one out here.
That leaves the GMC.
Right.
Out.
And how many miles are on the GMC?
Then he has two trucks in his car.
I think the GMC has about 80,000 miles.
Then we let that used.
He'll give us one of those. We don't have to buy another truck for.
What are you gonna do with the GMC then?
We're gonna have to
Well, yeah,
repurpose it somewhere.
What would you do with that?
well, that's always,
If you wanted to sell it, I mean, we can do anything we want. We can put it on the coast if the board would like to get rid of it. I mean,
Parks use it?
it,
Or why
It's
don't you
still
put
got
it
a-
in the
it's still got a
past?
functional
still
use.
runs as functional use, it's always been kind of a secondary backup to a vehicle around here.
Don't talk about free, I'm talking about the employees.
You know, tree up here.
All right, well, as far as just for next steps, we'll have to investigate the options, purchase versus lease, trade-in, no trade, the different vehicle options.
Could they trade that in on it?
You never know, sure.
So,
Okay.
We can't
All right,
always-
very good. All right, thank you, gentlemen.
Just, just like you said, let's just keep in mind, we gotta use the vehicle. If
Yeah.
they're gonna sit idle, then let's look at trading it. So,
thanks, Mr. Falk. That's going to take us to our Parks Department. I'm going to turn over to Mr. Steinberg.
First item on the agenda this evening, gentlemen, is the monthly report.
That's a scary cover page.
I couldn't resist.
Maybe we can give the resident a copy of it.
I think it needs to be blown up and put it up in the hall here.
I can do that.
Definitely on our website.
I like the photograph. Yeah.
We were busy this month with catching up with what March didn't allow us to do because of all the snow. And then we wanted to illustrate kind of the bookings for April, and I think once you see May's monthly report, you'll see where a lot of those games and practices went because of the inclement beginning of April. Okay, next next item is the farmer's market. We finalized it. It will be Mondays from June 23rd through August 11th from 3 to 6:30 p.m. We've already gotten some inquiries. We're excited about allowing local growers an opportunity to provide fresh goods and services here at Schneider Park.
Just off of that, I know we received an email communication about a potential vendor. Has anybody responded to that one about the, oh goodness, what do I want to, I mean, it's pretty much a, somebody looking to advocate on the legalization of.
What?
No, I don't think we responded to that. I don't think it was asking for a response. I think it was to join their movement. So when I read it, I didn't think of it as asking for a response.
Because how I read that, I thought as if they were inquiring about renting space.
No.
Space at that, and that's why I bring that up.
I read it all the way through and it was
This is
more like
one,
to join our movement.
this is one trustee that does not want to,
I think I'll respond by saying we've targeted fresh produce,
Not those
freshly
types of
cultivated
local
flowers,
growers.
and sticking to the traditional type of farmer's market at this point.
I read herbs, not herbs. Okay.
This is not a Colorado.
I was just
farmer
concerned
market.
that we got that, how I had initially read it, and I'm going, yeah, we
Yes,
don't
they
want
wanted
that.
us to join their movement.
Okay,
No, I didn't see that as an encouragement.
So please don't
Okay.
respond.
okay,
I have not, nor will I.
okay, thank you. Yeah, that's true.
I got an idea for that one.
Yeah.
Item number 3. I think it's number 3, I'm sorry. I see 3. Safe Kids Day, just a reminder, Safe Kids Day will be at Schneider Park from 4:30 to 7:30. This Thursday, we'll be setting up all day. We'll be putting up notices again on the website and on social media about parking across the street in the upper lot of Glen Oak High School, or at the High Mill Church of the Resurrection. For the first half of the day, we will be able to allow park goers and trail users to use the access road, just opposite the entrance from the fire station, just west of the fire station. Once that closes down, I believe Chief, right around 11 o'clock, they'll still have access to the park and use the park amenities, or just have to park at High Mill or across the street at Glen Oak Upper Lot for that day.
Rob, I want to interrupt you.
No,
Did you
please.
see the weather report for Thursday?
I've seen the weather report for the whole week, and I'm less
100% chance on Thursday.
than excited about it.
The event happens rain or shine though.
The event does happen, rain or shine. I think the only thing that would prohibit that would be severe weather.
And the chief has a nice fire station that we can all go through in our muddy shoes.
You can't even talk, it's really rough.
I'll send you a text on it.
Never had a speechless fire.
With that, I think I'll move on to item number 4. Be it hereby resolved to the Plain Township Board of Trustees, County, Ohio, to pay Carnegie Construction the amount of $4,600 for the construction of a garage door opening in the building at Diamond Community Park, and action door to the amount of $2,620 for labor and material installation of an automatic garage door. This will allow us the opportunity to fix the inside of the roofing, because as of right now, we can't fit the equipment necessary in there to fix the roofing. It's obviously got a long-term purpose of some of the goals we have for the building anyway. But ultimately speaking, and most immediately speaking, with the repairs that need done, there needs to be that garage door in to allow the bucket and lift up in to fix the roof.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion.
Just to point out, one person does one part and then Action Door does the other.
Correct. Carnegie
So it's-
Construction will be actually, for lack of a better expression, cutting the hole,
Yes.
and the installation of the door will come from Action Door.
Yeah, Action Door is who we use on all our, as you know, all our fire stations. So we're very comfortable there, and this is part of a bigger plan there eventually, but this is what has to be done now.
Immediately speaking of.
Discussion. Roll call.
Mr. Lena?
Yes.
Mr. Gevasis?
Yes.
Mr. Hawes?
Yes.
It's an investment.
Sure is.
Real quick, it's gonna be this is gonna be a well insulated garage door, correct, so we don't lose heat in that room.
Oh, that's correct. It'll be fully sealed.
All right, great.
It'll be fully sealed.
Thanks, Rob. Law Director, nothing. I think we're on a record here. There's a couple meetings in a row, really.
That's good.
Let's keep it out.
Communications, we have nothing. It's going to bring us to the public speak section. If you wish to address the board regarding a specific matter, you need to stand, state your name and your address for the fiscal officer for the record. I do have first on the...
And I don't see I don't see him here tonight.
My name's Joe Avenizio. I live at 2736 Chaucer Drive Northeast in Sherwood Village, right on the corner of Chaucer and Wycliffe. We're here concerned about the field behind Dave's house. There's deer, skunk, and all kind of animals there. And I spent $1,000 in the last 3-4 years with the raccoons getting in my chimney and having babies in there that I had to have taken out. And the mother had fleas, and all the animals in that field has fleas. I have to spray my yard every year for the fleas, or my wife can't go outside. But deer has destroyed my garden for the last 2 years, and they're getting multiple every year, but you can see the little deer. And you've got all kind of animals in there. They even have coyotes in there. And the problem is, whoever owns that piece of land, they don't mow it at all. And I'm just wondering what the trustees could do to help us solve the problem. And I think Dave here has talked to Lou for the last 2-3 years. And I thought if we addressed the whole trustees, maybe we can get something done. I don't know if there's anything you could do.
Is the property zoned residential, or, I mean, just from the high grass, from the zoning aspect?
5 acres plus.
5 acres plus, it's agricultural. The problem is, I contacted the owner before, I know Stephanie has contacted him, and he's voluntarily before mowed only part of it, and he's told me he would mow the whole thing. This last time, he hasn't returned phone calls. So, I don't know what we can do. I mean, statutorily, because of the lot size.
But I can tell you, with it over 5 acres, it doesn't fall under our zoning. It's got an agricultural exemption with regard to any kind of abatement, with regard to high grass.
It's the same thing for us. He's done some, in the past, he did some more partial mowing around the perimeter, but I think last year he mowed up along the road, but difficult to get responses.
It's been very difficult lately to get responses. It's been very difficult to get responses of recent.
You know who owns that property?
Oh, yeah, there's property on record. We've contacted him, and yeah,
Who owns it?
what's his name? I can't think of it off the top of my head. He intended to build a couple of houses over there, and it just, something happened, but
Well, I know years ago.
he was dumping building materials, because one time I walked it, there's some brick and stuff out there in the center, right?
The only thing I know is years ago, there was a widow lived in the house, and her son, he wasn't all there, but he mowed it weekly. Then it was sold to a contractor, and he mowed it. But this is the second contractor that bought it, and I think he's told you before he would mow it 3 times a year,
And he's done
and
it
he
once.
hasn't ever been there.
Well, he's mowed the outside of it once.
Yeah, but he only goes in there 20 feet or so.
Yeah.
I have to call, I'm Dave Williams, I live at 5981 Wycliffe. And the field floods up against my property. And when I first moved there in '09, the people kept the field cut, 5-6 inches all during the summer. But I guess it was sold and it started to grow. And you get grass this high. And there's a lot of nuisance, weeds, thistles, thousands of them blow through my yard every summer. Groundhogs, this is real funny, I guess, but I've caught 27 groundhogs in 2 years, just out of my yard. I keep track of all this stuff. I got like 36 mice in 2 years. That's what my cat brings in. It's just one thing after another. Now the deer are eating everything in my yard. I put netting up around to try to keep them out. There's numerous skunks and possums, coyotes. I've seen several this past winter in that field. And it's just a real problem. It's starting to get trees in it now, little saplings up, 10, 12 feet high. And it's just going to keep getting worse.
From the wildlife piece, there's nothing we can control there, but, not just to stop it. Is there anybody with ODNR that may be able to put in contact that can make any recommendations on how, I'm trying to stretch your, if there's anything.
The only thing that occurred to me would be some kind of a private nuisance action. I'm wondering if maybe you have something like that, given that you've suffered these kind of damages to your premises due to his lack of upkeep. Have you ever talked to an attorney privately to see if...
No, I was relying on you guys.
Yeah. Our hands are kind of tied by statute once it goes over 5 acres because of that agricultural exemption.
I understand.
It's one of those stupid laws that gets more than it catches more bad maybe than it should.
But he doesn't volunteer to cut this, so we have to call him every time. And he only cuts a 30-foot strip around 2 sides. The other sides he just leaves. Occasionally he'll hit up around the middle branch. But what he uses is a backhoe with a bush hog on the back of it. And this thing is bouncing up and down. So you got grass this high, grass laying over on top of, folded over. In 2 weeks, it's back up to normal. It's not accomplishing anything.
You can't,
I'm sorry.
I don't see worry about the health part of it, because I know a few years ago there was a raccoon that was sick, come across the street, laid in my front yard, and a lady with 2 small kids, she stopped her car and she was going to go out and pet it. And I told her, don't even get near that animal. And I called every agency I knew of to come and get it. They all said they wouldn't do it until it died.
Yeah, until it dies. They won't
died.
until it's dead.
And I do say, I called the township, and they was in there within 5 or 10 minutes after it was dead. But I was more concerned about somebody going close to it while it was alive.
Would we be allowed, without stepping on toes, if you got a hold of the homeowner, and being that there's...
It's not a homeowner, it's a vacant property.
Well, so that's not a homeowner, so that's the property, the property owner, would you be allowed to go there and hunt that and take those animals out because they're destructing their vegetation, or is that stepping on toes?
Well, I'd be scared of hunting that close to all those.
Let's just say 5 acres, no proper backstops.
The deer especially, they bed in this area. They don't necessarily spend all the time there. They go through the neighborhood and all around it. I keep track. I've seen 14 different deer in there this past year, and this year I'm sure it's going to be more.
They're nice. They're a very beautiful animal, but they're smart too. Last year I bought a solar thing that when the deer crossed it in my garden to send out this high-pitched frequency. It worked for about 2 weeks. But after that, they got used to it. And like he said, he put a camera out there, a night camera, to trace them. And after about a week or 2, they stand back. And then after that, they was licking the lens. So the deer aren't stupid.
Well, let me give you 2 thoughts that occur to me that might help you. One is the private nuisance route, and that you'd have to obviously talk to your own attorney about that. The other is that we have a community mediation program. And you'd have to be able to get this guy, to go to it. But certainly, if people have been in contact with him, it's something we could suggest would be helpful as well. And I have a card here if you want it. I'll give it to you after the meeting here. If you call this number, they can help set up. So we do it when neighbors aren't getting along. And sometimes it can be very, very helpful.
I don't even know. I've never met the guy. We might get along.
Well, you might. You might. Yeah, so those are the 2 things that occur to me.
I thought Lewis talked to him quite a few times, and I thought maybe if the trustees approached him, he might be a good neighbor and decide to turn it over.
What I think of what I would recommend, because of the legal side, maybe we could have the zoning office send him a letter to see if he will respond, and then meet with them and see if we can work out something with him voluntarily before it goes to a mediation.
Absolutely.
I thought one time that it might be good, maybe some local farmer could use that acreage to plant corn or something on it, or eliminate the ground clutter, or at least cut the grass off for the grass. There's a lot of good grass in that field, remember?
The way I think, if we went up ourselves, he'd just laugh at us, one person, you know. I thought with the trustees, he might listen.
We'll send him a letter and see if he responds. And then see
I'll put that together tomorrow.
if he'll meet with Denny, and then Denny might be able to set a meeting up with him, with both of you.
Oh, we'd appreciate that.
You know, now, part of that land, there's a resident on Middle Branch, and they actually cut their portion of that property because it's under the 5 acres.
Yeah.
They cut it, you know, nice, it looks nice. And if he would just come in and cut it at least twice a year, it would really benefit everybody, I think.
Yeah, we'll give it a shot again.
All right,
Um,
that'd be good.
And another thing.
I don't know, we might want to ask him if he's interested in selling.
Gentlemen, did you sign in?
Pardon?
Did you sign the, list in the back so I can make sure we get your address and everything?
Sure, all right.
Yeah, please make sure you just sign the sheet at the back of the door on your way out.
We had a meeting in January, and I think Denise Evans talked to Scott, and he said he would like to attend our next meeting. I would like to extend an invitation to all 3 of you. I don't know what we're going to have at the next meeting, but
Well, I can tell you, we'll have to stagger that because otherwise it's going to require public notice, because anytime where there's 2 trustees, it's considered
okay.
a public meeting, and that's a sunshine law
well, I just,
situation. So, I mean, if you provide us the details, I mean, we just need to be able to work within the
I know Denise
legalities
told
of
me that
it.
she had talked to you about
Yeah.
it, and you wanted to attend it, and I figured I wanted to send it all 3, so we didn't feel like we're picking on just one.
No, that's, I mean, let's go the letter route and see if he responds to Denny, and Denny can try to set up a meeting.
So, okay.
But I can't give you any guarantee this time. I don't know if he moved, if he's, I mean, I don't even know if he still owns it, Denny, if he sold it. Because he hasn't responded.
Well, you know, the year before last, he evidently had worked an agreement out to cut it 3 times a year. Then when the next year came, it didn't happen.
That's why I'm curious to see if he even still owns the property, if somebody else doesn't own it.
Somebody else,
Yeah.
you know,
Because he was having some,
we'd appreciate anything you to do about it.
And we'll make sure, as far as on the next steps, as Lou and Denny have indicated, the letter, make sure we get your, have your contact information so that Denny can follow directly with you on that. He'll keep us in the loop, and then as needed,
That'd be fine.
we'll talk through those next steps, okay?
All right, thank you for your
Thank
time.
you, gentlemen, for coming out. Do we have anybody else that wishes to address the Board of Trustees? Concerns of citizens? That's going to close the public speaks. It's going to take us to concerns of trustees. Is there anything that either of my fellow trustees have? Nothing? Concerns of the fiscal officer? Nothing? That's going to take us to the approval of minutes for April 22nd, 2014, and I will so move. Discussion? Roll call.
Mr. Geovasis?
Yes.
Mr. Haas?
Yes. There is a need for executive session, so be it hereby resolved by the Plain Township Board of Trustees, Stark County, Ohio, to adjourn to executive session at 7:24 p.m. from this regular meeting as authorized under Ohio Revised Code 121.22G for the purpose and consideration of 1A, appointment of a public employee or official, 1B, employment of a public employee or official, 3, a conference with the law director or other routine counsel concerning pending or imminent court action.
second.
Discussion? Roll call.
Mr. Lino?
Yes.
Mr. Geovasis?
Yes.
And Mr. Haas?
Yes.
Lisa. Lisa.